Good morning, YouTube family. Good afternoon, good evening. I hope today finds you well, and I hope that you're going to be so blessed by today's talk because this is going to get to the heart of a lot of insecurities that people have and a lot of crazy imagination, that's going on out there. We're just imagining this crazy wild ride that the new supply is on with the narcissist, with her ex. But we often wonder, like, why did they choose the new supply, or why did they move on to a new supply so quickly when we thought that we had something really special, right? And so we start questioning our own self-worth and our own character and what's wrong with me and why can't I be like the new supply? Well, here's the deal. This is not healthy thinking, and I want to get you guys on the road to healthy thinking. So, welcome, you guys. I'm going to let a few of you guys hop on and read. Hey, Watergrove, see who's hopping on right now. So good to see you. Watergrove says, I had a bad dream. I don't know why the narc has been entering my dreams since I moved on and got my own place. I'm doing well, but these dreams are frequent. Oh, now you're saying you had a bad dream, and it could be that, all the anxiety and the pain that's being built up inside of you, missing them, the insecurity, and that's kind of part of the talk today is the insecurity that you're feeling. We want to address that. And that insecurity gets you comparing yourself to the new supply. And I want to tell you the truth about the new supply. And those of you who are new here or haven't heard me talk about my own experiences, this is why I created this channel. It turns out, as I learned about narcissistic abuse, I realized, holy cow, this has been a large portion of my life and how it has affected me and my bad decision making through part of my life, right? The latter years of my life into my adulthood. And I want to bring those experiences into this channel so you guys get to have the inside look as well. Some people have only dealt with one type of narcissist in one aspect of their life, say a romantic side, or maybe a parent who's a narcissist, or a sibling who's a narcissist, or a friend who's a narcissist. And I've gotten to experience this. Maybe that's not a great thing, I guess, but I got to experience narcissism in many different forms, or a few different forms. The parental side, a romantic side, and a friend side. So I wanted to share my experiences with you because of those experiences, because of those relationships, I became a confidant to a couple of narcissists, actually three narcissists in particular, a confidant to them. So I got to hear the inside thinking, their inside insecurities and their jealousies and their demented thinking, really. But at the time, I didn't realize that it was demented. Okay. I didn't realize it. I just thought it was just somebody who was in need and I wanted to be there for them. But through years and years of working and dealing with a narcissist or these narcissists, I've come to realize there's no helping them. There's nothing you can do to get them out of that thinking. And you will be spinning your wheels for the rest of your life and digging yourself into a ditch, into a deeper and deeper hole the longer you stay in that state of mind with a narcissist. So anyway, I want to share some of those experiences with you today in talking about the new supply, because I've gotten to know some of the new supply that the narcissists that have been in my life are onto now. And that will give you an idea of what's really going on with the new supply and what kind of person the new supply is to want to take on a narcissist. You're a narcissist, right? Your ex-narcissist, or yeah, your ex who's a narcissist. And I hope that this will enlighten you and give you an idea that, the comparing back and forth is not healthy if you are making yourself feel worse. And I don't want you to go down that path any longer than you have to. Anyway, you guys, good morning, John. Good to see you. I'm glad that you're here. Oh, Watercraft. So I'm getting mixed reviews here. Some people say, they want to see me cooking. Some say they don't. Last week, I did not get to keep up with the comments very well because my computer was acting up, so I couldn't see the comments as I was cooking. And I may go back to cooking again when a recipe comes up and I feel like, oh, you know what, you guys might enjoy this. But today is a really nice day outside, so I wanted to do a happy crappy hour out here. So you guys, we're going to jump right into this. So is the narcissist really better than you? You know, it's really easy to think that they are, because why else would they be acting as if they're having the time of their life? Why is it that the narcissist, your ex, is acting as if this is really their soulmate and you were not? And that they feel like, you know, suddenly you're absolutely nothing to them and this new supply is their whole world. So obviously we're going to think this person must have something that's so special that I just didn't have. Excuse me, you guys. Let me have a drink of water here. Wally's. So, you guys, the first reality I want to talk about is, you guys, everyone has their baggage. So no matter how perfect this new supply looks, or the narcissist is trying to make the new supply look, know that the new supply, the narcissist is trying to make the new supply seem like they're just perfect, right? They're the soulmate. They're everything that the narcissist has ever wanted. They do everything the narcissist wants them to do. But we're going to get to that part in a minute. But first, I want to tell you that everybody has their baggage. And the funny thing to me, one of the narcissists I know had moved on, you know, had multiple lovers, if you will, I guess. And each one of them thought that they were the special one, the one that was going to get the proposal, right? And all of them, you know, none of them thought that they weren't going to get the proposal. So they each thought they were super special. And then suddenly a new supply came into the mix, right? Someone that nobody else had expected. And once that happened, the narcissist dropped everybody else, dropped the harem, right? So the harem is left thinking, what's wrong with me? You know, it must be because I'm divorced. It must be because I have kids. It must be because, you know, I'm not young anymore and this other person is younger. And here's the deal. The other person happened to have fallen for the fantasy, right? The newest new supply happened to have fallen for the fantasy and hasn't been part of the drama and the chaos that surrounds the narcissist. So this newer person is now a fresh, you know, a breath of fresh air to the narcissist. So they're going to see this person as more perfect, right, than everybody else who had been there for the narcissist, had bent over backwards to help them come to their, you know, crying needs at 3 in the morning or whatever, at midnight, at 11, and you know, at night, at 6 in the morning. Every time the narcissist called them, they were there. You know, they answered their phone. They gave up a lot and sacrificed a lot to be there for the narcissist. And then suddenly this very new supply is getting the proposal, and they're all left wondering, what's wrong with me? What did I do wrong? And am I just not as pretty or as handsome or as funny or as caring? Or so all this insecurity starts setting into them, and they immediately think that this newer supply must have all their crap together, right? Must have this perfect life that the narcissist is able to insert themselves into. And in a way, it is somewhat, it does somewhat appear perfect, because to the narcissist even, they think this newer supply is perfect. You remember the idealization stage that you went through, right? But why is it that some supply seem to be able to carry that idealization stage farther or longer, right, than the rest of us? And the reason is, yeah, maybe they do have some of their crap together, right? Maybe they seem to have had a lot of luck as far as support and family. Maybe they came from a better, more stable family than you did, right? Maybe they have a lot of friends who've been very loyal to them and are there to help them get on their feet, and you didn't have that. So to the narcissist, it's like, wow, expanding my my base of supply, because they get to plug into the new supply's support team. So to them, the new supply looks wonderful. But here's the deal. No matter how wonderful the new supply is, they have their baggage. And they're not going to show their baggage at the very beginning, at the idealization stage. They have to keep up this image for the narcissist to keep them on, right? They're believing everything the narcissist is telling them about how perfect they are. They're believing everything the narcissist is telling them about, how strong they are, or how beautiful, or how courageous, or how talented. So they feel like when someone gives you that type of encouragement, it kind of motivates you to keep up doing those things, right? So that's the stage that the new supply is in. And during that time, that's when you're at your weakest and you're feeling like, I'm nothing and I can't do this and I'm not as good as this other person. But here, you guys, I want to tell you this because so one of the new supplies that the narcissist had hooked up with was like half his age. It was just insane. I thought, are you freaking serious? You're hooking up with somebody who's like about 20 years younger than you. And at first the narcissist was telling me, yeah, because she really cares about him and she's very giving and she's very compassionate. And I'm like, okay, she's a 20-year-old. This 20-year-old has no life experience. I mean, she has had some life experience. Okay, I understand. I get that. But she hasn't learned how to be herself. She hasn't learned how to be strong and how to make sure she has healthy relationships. She doesn't have boundaries. And so the narcissist is going to look for that. It's going to look for someone who has very weak boundaries. So here we are, we're sitting back and we're thinking, oh, the new supply is so much younger and so much, hotter or whatever it might be. And they're having great sex because, obviously they're a whole lot younger and they're so much more active in that way. You're thinking they're having this incredible, amazing, swinging from the chandeliers type of sex, right? But it's not true. What's really going on is that the new supply has no boundaries. So we'll do whatever the narcissist cries for, whatever tantrum the narcissist throws, the new supply is going to cave and give into because they have no boundaries. They don't know how to deal with an adult, right? Especially an adult who's twice their age. They're not going to put that person in their place. They're not going to say, no, I'm not going to give in to your manipulations. And in fact, they don't even understand that they're being manipulated. So of course the new supply looks like they're ideal and they're perfect because to the narcissist, they can mold them and make them do whatever they want the new supply to do. Now that's the case with a much younger new supply, you guys. But I have other examples too. Hey, you guys, I want to say or acknowledge some of the comments here. Ooh, I'm trying to see if I can read these because it's kind of dark outside. The screen, that is. All right. Oh, here we go. I'm missing a bunch of comments here. So let me catch up with some of you guys. So, Crystal, good to see you. And Jihad, good morning. Watergrove says, the narc and the supplies they have aren't better, especially if you're okay with being abused. That's the truth. Yes, Watergrove, you've got it. Because this is the deal. What I'm telling you about with the new supply who's super, young and inexperienced, doesn't know. I mean, you can be in your 50s and 60s and still learning how to build boundaries, healthy boundaries, that is, right? Learning how to set healthy boundaries. And here's a 20-year-old, very unlikely that they know anything at all about healthy boundaries. So of course that's going to look really great. And here's the deal. The narcissist may even go for an older person who doesn't have good boundaries. So as you catch on to the manipulation and you decide, I'm not going to put up with this anymore, and you start setting some standards now, right? You're starting to set a bar that you're not allowing the narcissist to go below anymore. So of course they're going to look at somebody else who's going to allow them to walk all over them to be ideal, right? They must be their perfect match because this person loves them so much, they're willing to sacrifice everything, including their health, the mental health for the narcissist, and physical health. That's just ridiculous. So, oh yeah, you guys, I want to share this with you, and I've said it before. If you know your narcissist has used this on you, you know they're going to use it on the new supply, which is, if you love me, you will do this. And it'll be something that could be illegal. It could be something that could be painful. It could be something that destroys your relationship with people who you love, right? If the narcissist had done that to you, they are doing that to the new supply, and the new supply is caving into that. So it does not make the new supply better than you at all. It just makes them more manipulable, but easily manipulated. So the new supply, I mean, the narcissist is going to love that. Yeah. Let me look here. Crystal says, my ex has a new primary supply. He's hiding her, but my son's stumbled upon her Facebook, and it's literally plastered with pictures of him and her. She's buying the Prince Charming version. Exactly. Exactly. And this is another reason why you might think, well, the new supply might be a better match for them, because the new supply actually is spouting how perfect the narcissist is. And you're left doubting, well, wait a minute, did I just not see that side of them? Did I miss that side? Are they changing for the new supply? Why are they being so good for the new supply? Well, because the new supply is buying the Prince Charming or the beautiful unicorn, right? The women who are out there who are narcissists, they believe they're the unicorn. They're perfect in every way. They're gorgeous and they're mentally stable, which we know they are not. So the new supply is buying this version of the narcissist. And of course, at first is saying all these wonderful things. John Calwheat, good to see you. And yes, you have a blessed day too. Watergrove says, I'm already building on 2 careers and ready for a new lover. I just mirror him because we share a kid. Ah, yeah, you have to have it when you have a child with a narcissist. That's just very difficult. So many blessings to you, Watergrove. Ava, good to see you. Says, who cares? Fool's problems ain't mine no more. Very toxic. God Almighty has everyone's address. Blessings. Stay safe and well. Stay safe and well to you too. Yeah. Crystal says they treat you like you're a piece of garbage. You literally become nothing. He grew bored of her quickly, then disposed of her like garbage too. And that's what happens with the new supply. But I want to talk to you more about the experiences that I've had with the new supply and what is really going on. It is so, so sad. I have this example of a friend, a longtime friend, the one I've spoken about before. We've been friends for 10 years, and I didn't realize that she was a covert narcissist. But now, so her Crazytown side she just became unhinged. Her life got to the point where it was such a disaster that she became unhinged with me, in front of me. So I got to see the total crazy side where you just cannot speak logic to them. You cannot reason with them. So I was in her life when she was going through this experience with a man that she was totally in love with. She was asking me to be one of her bridesmaids. It was that serious. So she was saying that they're very close to getting engaged and she's so excited and this and that. But then she suddenly broke it off with him. And after she broke it off with him, actually not even after, as we know, narcissist always has somebody in the wing, right? That they're preparing, that they're grooming to become their new supply before they jump ship. So she was doing that with another guy. She was doing that with a married guy who was separated from his wife, but they were not yet divorced. So here she is. She's already sleeping around, or she's sleeping around with other people. She said she wasn't sleeping around with a married guy, which I don't know if I believe it or not anymore. But at the time, she said she and the married guy were just going out together, going to movies, going out to dinner, going to happy hours, etc. Right? Going for hikes, just spending time together. And this, in the meantime, while she was supposedly in love with and on the verge of getting engaged to her soon to be ex, right? So she dumps the ex, or the first supply, I guess, right? And pretty much runs into the arms of the married guy. Now, the married guy is the new supply. I got to speak with the ex, and he was talking about how, upset he was that she was already in the arms of that guy, and how he was married. And I actually knew the wife of the new supply. So, speaking with the wife of the new supply, she was telling me how she wanted to get back together with her husband. She wanted to make amends. She wanted to save their marriage, if at all possible. But since a narcissist has inserted herself in between this marriage, there was no way that was going to happen. No way that was going to happen. So the new supply, of course, falls for the charm of the narcissist and says to his wife that he won't reconcile with her because he could not hurt the narcissist, right? This is the covert narcissist who's become the victim always, right? They're admirable because they're courageous and they fight through all their, hardships, and yet they are always the victim. So that's how the new supply saw the narcissist. He saw her as this victim who'd been abandoned and hurt by everybody she's ever loved, including her soon-to-be fiance. He believed that this guy cheated on her, which he did not. So she makes up this whole story of how her soon-to-be fiance, was cheating on her, and that's why she left him and is jumping into the arms of the married guy. It's total convoluted crazy town, right, you guys? I don't know if you're even being able to keep up with this. So the narcissist has pretty much overtaken the emotions, the mind of the new supply, to the point where he is now unwilling to reconcile with his wife, throw away 20, 25 years of marriage to go with this narcissist who, and by the way, she jumped to the married guy because the married guy was making a lot more money than even her fiance. Her fiance was making pretty good money. I think it was like 6 figures. But now we're talking the new supply is making even, into the second tier, 6 figures, maybe, Anyway, so she jumps. She takes the husband with her, and he misses out. Now he has been stuck with this crazy town of psycho, just psycho town that he has yet not experienced. He's only experienced the kitten, right? He's only experienced this long-suffering kitten that everybody has kicked around and is sexy as all get out, right? So she's totally aware of her sexual appeal, and she uses it. And she's bragged to me about, like, she's got to be the best sex that her ex has ever had and all this business, right? And she's slept around a lot, so she's got a lot of experience, I guess. So she's kind of thought of herself as, the award to other people, to her new supply. Anyway, so here's the deal. What happens to this new supply? Was he really better than the first ex? No, he's not. He was damaged. He was broken. He was feeling rejected because he was in a separation with his wife. So she finds a person who is wounded, right? And to him, she makes him feel sexy. She makes him feel wanted. She makes him feel strong because she says all the right things to build him up. So of course the new supply to her fiance looks like, wow, he is strong. He is confident. He is, he makes more money than I do. He's taller than I am, whatever, he might think. and maybe even more good looking than I am. Although I don't think the two of them are that, they're about the same to me when I looked at them. But anyway, the ex is going to feel like, well, this new supply is so much better than I am if they were comparing from afar. But from my position, I could see, no, the new supply is broken. The new supply is not going to tell you how devastated they are because their wife left them and is telling them that she never felt fulfilled and that she needed more from them. The ex is not going to hear that. But I got to hear that because I got to know the wife. I got to know what was going on in their relationship. I got to hear the pain that was in their marriage. But here comes the narcissist, swoops in, grabs the married guy. He's convinced that she's his dream woman because she's this sex kitten pretty much, right? Who's just soft and vulnerable and needs him. And so he can't possibly go back to his wife, who was willing to reconcile. He wanted to reconcile with her before the narcissist started digging in. So you guys, when you sit there and you think, oh, it must be better, the new supply must be so much better than me. What you don't understand is the new supply has their own baggage. They have their own wounds and they have their own brokenness that makes them susceptible to the narcissist's manipulations, right? Makes them susceptible to either the narcissist pretending to have a lot of money, or the narcissist pretending to be, their sexual dream, or the narcissist pretending to be this wounded kitten that needs their help. And the new supply falls for that and steps up to that role, by the way, will step up to that role. So now they don't have to be that wounded, separated person from their spouse. They now get to be this hero to the narcissist and play that hero to the narcissist, or that dream woman to the narcissist, right? I'll give you another example where the narcissist is the guy. But let me go into some of the comments here, because I know you guys have been saying a lot of things. Child of God 073, good to see you from Canada. Good to see you, and you're welcome. I'm glad to help you. I want to share my experiences with you guys because I want you to see the other side, the side that nobody, the exes don't get to see. Rarely ever will you get to hear what's really going on inside of the relationships, the newer relationships. I've also had new supply who then became the ex reach out to me because they couldn't understand what was going on. They didn't know yet that the narcissist was a narcissist. So that's another view I got to see as well. Like, the new supply does not have this new dream world life that you think they are having. The new supply is going through on the same ride that you went on. It just looks different now to you because you're on the other side. You're looking from a different perspective. You're not from the inside perspective anymore. You're on the outside perspective. And now you get to see it from what other people had been seeing of your relationship. I know that many of you, once you broke up, once you were discarded, it was a surprise, right? Other people came to you and were like, I thought you guys were really happy. I thought that things were going really well with you. They were surprised because they were not on the inside of your relationship. So know that whatever the new supply is putting out there, whatever baloney, Facebook or Twitter or Snapchat or Instagram they're putting out there, and a couple years from now, whatever else, TikTok, right, they're putting out there, it is not real. It's all an image, and it's just a snapshot of a moment when, maybe for that 2 minutes things were great. You don't see the third minute where now the narcissist is yelling at the supply, is putting down the supply, is angry because something didn't happen for them. It's just insanity. Child of God says this is crazy. It is. Oh my gosh, Crystal. Yeah. And that's right there. How can that be good for the new supply? You know what thank you for mentioning this. Oh, there's a plane going over. wait for that. Yeah, you know what your ex narcissist addictions are. And that leads me actually into another one of the narcissists that I know who was an uncle, or is an uncle of mine. Oh my gosh, his story is just so insane. But so many stories I want to share with you guys. Let me come down here a little bit. Sorry. Oh, somehow it got moved upward. Sorry, I'm just trying to follow some of these comments here. So my ex was addicted to teen porn and mainly stalked very young women, but I think they don't really see age. They'll get it from whoever they can get it from. Yeah. Yeah. You know, the narcissist does tend to go towards someone who's more broken than you, more inexperienced than you, more in denial than you, and maybe even in an addiction, because people who have addictions are vulnerable. And the narcissist can manipulate that, can control them with their addictions, can either guilt them and shame them if they want to, or hold that addiction over their head and say, I'll give this to you if you're good and do this for me. So don't think that the new supply is better than you. The new supply is just simply more manipulable. I hate saying that word. I gotta think of, is more easily manipulated than you are. It's just more vulnerable than you are. Could be even more broken than you are. And at the moment that the narcissist is making the new supply feel strong, feel wanted, feel beautiful, or feel handsome, or feel successful. Oh my gosh, that's another one. I have so many stories. Okay, let me start with my uncle. He was addicted to alcohol, and I believe he still is. People, in the family keep telling me that he's changed and he's different, but I know that he's not different because I hear from my cousins. Oh my gosh, how insane he is. All right, so here's his story. He was married for at least, let me think how many years, and finally they divorced. I think it was about 20 years. And his wife had enough, had enough of the abuse. He was very physically abusive towards her. He was verbally abusive, physically abusive, mentally abusive. I'm not sure if sexually, but probably as well. So she put her foot down and she's like, I can't take this anymore. I think it was after one of their really bad physical abuses, incidents. And at that point, he was like, fine. And he moved on. He actually let go of her, which I think was kind of a shock to her. And she knew she was very, very broken. She knew that she couldn't continue on. So they ended up getting divorced. Now, after they get divorced, he finds a new supply. And actually, he's had new supply throughout their marriage. He'd been cheating on her throughout their marriage. His children tell me this. So that's how I know. They told me how he used to take them as kids to his girlfriend's apartments while he has, intercourse with them, and they'll hear it. They're in the living room. They hear what's going on, and they're kids. And at the time they didn't realize what was going on. But as they got older, they understood, like, oh my gosh, that's what that was. And so they knew that their dad, my uncle, was having multiple affairs throughout the marriage. So this is not like the only new supply he got, but he does marry this supply. So after his wife divorces him, he jumps into another relationship and ends up marrying this supply. Now, this supply, at first, how do I put this? The other narcissist in my life is my mom. And this is why I stay anonymous, you guys, because she's still in my life. And I don't want this to get to my family and blow up. And the family is too crazy, you guys. And that's why I just don't want to cause more problems for more people, including myself. So my mom, who's the other narcissist, these two are total narcissists, and the rest of the family has had to put up with them all of their life. My other aunts and uncles have had to put up with these two narcissists. So my mom encourages my uncle to get married right away to this other person that she deems is essentially submissive, is she considers her somewhat educated because she has a teaching degree. So she thinks that this person's better than your ex-wife, whom, by the way, my mother never liked. My mother never liked his ex-wife. She hated her. I don't know why, but it seems like most of the sisters spoke crap about the ex-wife the entire marriage. And I was there for it. I mean, I was a little kid hearing all this nasty, horrible gossip against my uncle's wife my entire life. So I know that all the sisters had hated the ex-wife. So here, if you're the ex-wife and you're looking over towards your narcissistic ex and you're thinking they've moved on with this new supply who is sweet, right? Because my mom had set him up with this woman who's super submissive, who is educated. My aunt, who's the ex-wife, is not educated. She didn't go beyond high school, right? She didn't get a degree. So if she's comparing herself to the new supply, she's going to feel like she's worse. And by the way, the new supply is also younger. So this is what my mom had set her brother up with. And on the outside, from the ex-wife's perspective, the new supply is going to look like she's got her stuff together, man. You know, she's a teacher. She's got her own income that's better than my aunt's, and she is younger, and she's smarter, and she's just more compassionate, right? So maybe my aunt's gonna feel like I just wasn't compassionate enough. I didn't give enough, right? Even though the reality was he was beating her up, and she knows this, you know. Well, fast forward, here we go, 10 years. Fast forward 10 years. The new supply, the second wife, is still with him, but she's getting beaten up. And my mom knows this. She knows it. She talks about how the wife had told her that my uncle had beaten her with a frying pan, knocked her over the head with a frying pan. So that's just one incident that she had heard of. And we know that from his past with his ex-wife that he's going to continue to beat her up. He's not going to stop. He's so narcissistic. And my cousins are telling me that, I mean, there's this guy. He's so ridiculous. He's, how old is this guy? He's got to be in his 70s or something like this. He's one of my older uncles. He's actually the oldest son. So he is definitely in his 70s. And he's strutting around my cousin's neighborhood when he visits her. He stays in her house. When he's in her house, he'll go walking around the neighborhood in the mornings with just a tank top, right? Trying to show off his muscles. Yes, he works out, but for crying out loud, he's wrinkly and old, but he's wandering around like he's some hot piece of meat in her neighborhood in his boxer shorts and his tank top. And she's mortified. My cousin is mortified. She's just like so embarrassed that her dad does this, but she can't stop him. She's like, Dad, you need to put on a t-shirt. And he's like, I have on a shirt. Dad, you got to put on some shorts or something. He's like, these are like shorts, you know, his boxer shorts. You cannot convince a narcissist to behave. You can't shame a narcissist. They take no shame. They think that they are so good looking that everybody's going to want to see their stuff, man. This is what his current wife, has to deal with. So for all we know, if he is still able to catch more new supply and have affairs, he's doing it. No doubt about it. He's doing it. If he's not, then he's just taking out all of his anger, all of his frustration out on his new wife. And that's what she's dealing with. And here's the good story. Here's the good side of things I want to tell you. His ex-wife, the one who was who finally divorced him, the one who was discarded, the one who was abused, the one who was being treated so badly for 20 years, and then treated as if she was not as good as his new wife, she remarried a guy who's kind and sweet to her and safe. She remarried a guy who has a good job. I mean, they're not rich by any means, but the two of them, having two incomes together, bought their own place. They bought their own townhouse. They have a beautiful townhouse, by the way. My aunt has decorated it so beautifully on their small income. she goes to these discount stores. She's gotten these beautiful curtains and discounted furniture that just looks beautiful. And her house is light and airy and warm, you know? So this is her life now. She has a good husband, and she has her children who adore her, and her grandchildren who adore her. Meanwhile, their grandchildren don't have a relationship with the narcissist because their grandfather, right? Their own grandfather, they don't have a relationship with him because he's a freaking self-centered, self-serving, crazy person. And they're not that close also with the new wife. The new wife tries to insert herself. She tries to be, you know, mold herself into something that his grandchildren could like or could love. She doesn't even have children of her own. That's what she's condemned to. She's condemned to the life where she doesn't have children of her own. She'll never know what it's like to have her own grandchildren. And in the meantime, my aunt is living her best life. She has a great life now. And so that's what I want to share with you, this story, because so many of us believe that the new supply is doing so much better than we are. The new supply is living this beautiful, romantic, swept off their feet, magical life. And they're not. They're living the exact same life that you lived when you were with the narcissist, with all the cheating, with all the mental abuse, with all the verbal abuse, with all the physical. Hopefully it didn't get there with you guys, but that happens. If you saw it happen with your ex narcissist, it's happening now with their new supply. Well, you guys, let me see some of your comments. I know you want to engage here, and I want to acknowledge this. Wow. Okay, I don't know. I've missed a lot of comments, so let me see if I can get back a little bit. Ava, good to see you. We can use this education for the future, for our environment and surroundings. Yes, yes. See, Thomas, good to see you. Oh yeah. See, that's the thing. They're all addicted to porn. Possibly, possibly. I don't know. The ones that I know, there's only one that I don't think is addicted, and that's my mom. She's a narcissist, but I don't know that she's addicted to it. But the other ones, all the other ones I know, yes, they totally watch that. Okay. Oh, wow. That's sweet. Crystal says, I know my father got me out and away from that toxic situation. Yeah. Isn't that great when you have somebody in your life that's willing to help you get out, when they can see that it's so toxic that you can't even cover it up anymore, and they help you to get out of there. Watergrove says, I never got any of that. I guess you're talking about the abuse. I was independent, so I only saw the narc when the mask fell off. Cheap straps from the dollar shop couldn't keep that mask on. Oh, did you not see any of the fantasy world or that they were putting on? Yeah. John says it's good to be seen. Yes, I definitely see you guys. C. Thomas says new supply will hang on even if they're miserable with the narc, and that's true. And that's why I've told you guys, if you've listened for the time I've been on this channel, don't think it's anything valuable or admirable or honorable just because someone was married all the way to the end, till death do they part. Don't think like, oh wow, they must have had a great marriage because they were married for 50 years. It was probably 49 years of hell. Okay, so why would you think that it is honorable just because it's a number? It's just a number, and people will stay to the very bitter end for whatever reasons, because they're broken, because they're needy, because they have issues of their own, right? And they don't know how to stand on their own. They're too scared to separate. There's so many reasons why people stay to the very bitter end with a totally toxic, horrible, narcissistic person. So let me see. C. Thomas says, it's been months for me. Congrats on the house and move. And I know it can be time consuming. Happy you're all settled. Yeah, Crystal Jean, I think that has to do with her because I think she moved in to her own house. Yes, that's what she just said. And yes, congratulations, Crystal. I'm glad that you're able to move to a new home. That's always nice, you know, a nice beginning, new beginning. Watergrove says, yeah, I can't have a weak lover. If they're spiritually broken, mentally weak, I can't have that madness enter my family. Oh my gosh. Yeah, C. Thomas says gold diggers for sure. I fell for that and loaned him money during his hoovering. They will take everything from you. Yes, it's true. They do. I see that all the time in the crime shows, which really, you know, is sad. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, when the news supplies money runs out, so will the narcissist. And that's the thing, you might think, oh, yeah, oh my gosh, let me get back to you about that. Remember, I was telling you about the friend who I knew for 10 years, dumped her soon to be fiance for a married man who was separated, hooked up with him for sure. They got together full on 100%. And he shunned his wife. He didn't want to get reconcile with her. So totally closed that door because now his wife, by the way, ex-wife now, has moved on with a really awesome guy. I've run into them at you know, the movies and out to dinner sometimes, and she was telling me how happy she is with her uh, current man, and that she, you know, she talks about how kind and gentle and attentive and just amazing he is. So I'm very happy for her. So here it is, the narcissist with her new supply, now ex-married man. He was making more money. Remember, I was saying he was making more money than her soon-to-be fiance. Well, because of the economy and what's happened with the lockdown, I know that the job that he had, there's no way he could still be working. Because he was one of the newer hires for one, and he was making a lot of money, but now they're going to keep the people who've been on much longer than he has. They're not going to need his services anymore. So now the narcissist is looking at a guy who has almost no money. I mean, he has a little bit of money, but he doesn't have this really awesome paying job anymore. And guess what? The narcissist is not going to go for that, is not going to stay with that. If she hasn't already dumped him, she is definitely itching to dump him now, because now he's totally broken. Not only was he rejected by his wife, but or left by her, he is now also unemployed and not making the kind of money that drew the narcissist to him to begin with. Anyway, you guys, that's the story that's going on right now with the narcissist and her new supply. Meanwhile, I want to tell you about her soon-to-be fiance. I don't know if I had mentioned this. He met this woman who totally adores him, and we're friends still, he and I, and we don't get together or something like that, but I'll see him on Facebook and we'll message back and forth on Facebook only, you know, but it's really good for, you know, I love to see that he goes on trips with his new girlfriend, and he is, I don't know if they're engaged now, but they're probably really close to that as well. I mean, he just adores this woman. He loves her. She loves him. She adores him. She treats him so well. She's not psychotown like the narcissist, and she's not self-centered like the narcissist. And her children are actually sweet. You know, her children, a lot shows, by the way, from the kids of a narcissist. And I'm not saying that kids from narcissists can't be sweet people, but a lot of times they're very messed up. They're very insecure. They make a lot of bad decisions because the narcissist has not been a good parent. So it's really awesome for me to see that the ex-wife is doing well. The new supply's ex-wife is doing well. And now the narcissist ex-fiance is doing well. That's what happens for all the exes, by the way, who move on. You guys are in a prime position to start your life over. And Crystal, with you with a new place, make it beautiful, make it your own, make it comfortable for you, make it warm, and make it inviting. Yes, you get to do this for yourself. All right, I'm going to check on some more of your comments. Yeah, John says, after what I went through with her, I don't even want to be in another relationship. And that is totally fine as well, by the way. That I would recommend. I know a lot of people jump into a new relationship right away. I do not recommend that. I recommend working on you. And like what Crystal's doing, I love it. I love that she's got a new place. I love that she's got this fresh start now. That's what I recommend. Like if you can, do that. Move. Get into a different atmosphere, right? Start something new for yourself. Go, move into a different apartment, move into a different part of town. Heck, move into a new state or move closer to family. Start new. This is a time where you can pour into yourself. And that's what my aunt had done when she divorced my uncle, who was so abusive to her. And he continued to taunt her, by the way. He continued to taunt her as if his life was so much better than hers, because he's the one who had the income. He's the one who had the retirement. She didn't. She's a hairdresser, and I don't know if she's still doing hairdressing, but I think she might be. She was a hairdresser, and she didn't make a lot of money. So he was able to flaunt in front of her like he's buying a new house with his new supply. He is traveling with his new supply. He is having a great relationship with his new supply while she was alone, while she was struggling to get onto her feet as a hairdresser and newly divorced, right? So at the beginning, it seemed like it was hopeless for her. But that's when she started working more on herself. She started building her, actually, she started going to church and building her relationship spiritually, right? With God, and how she got her self-esteem from there, and how she built friendships from there. She built friendships that were pouring into her rather than taking from her. So she got back on her feet. She's so centered now, and I love it. I love talking with her. It's really great. But yeah, I just wanted to share that with you. John, getting into a relationship, I don't ever recommend that right away. It's so much better to work on yourself first. It's much better to get situated and know who you are and examine what happened in your past. You don't want to jump into a new relationship right away and carry that past with you. A lot of times the next relationship doesn't work out because we carry that baggage with us. We haven't dealt with it yet. So I'm with you, actually, John. I really am. I'm thinking that I hope more people consider that for themselves. And when it's right, you know what? When it's right, you're going to meet the right person. When you're in the right place, and you don't even have to know that you're open for a relationship, but you'll see things start to fall into place properly. Yeah. My screen jumped again, so I've missed where comments are. Oh, okay. Yes. Okay. Crystal's talking about her ex. I don't know if you remember from last week, but the ex's new supply has 3 young daughters, and she's allowed this mentally unstable sex predator man into her home. Yes, exactly. Oh my gosh, you guys. That's also happened with another one. Oh my gosh, I don't even know how to start this one. I don't know that this person's a predator, but that's what gets me. The women who have been part of this other friend of mine who had a harem, right? But now he's married, but I'm pretty sure he still has a harem. The women, the supply that he's had, welcomed him in right away to their children. Like, they date number 2, they wanted him to meet their children. And I'm thinking, holy cow, you don't even really know this person. And they've moved in with him within a week or two. They're willing to move in with him with their children, not knowing anything about his past, like believing anything that he says. Now, why would we want to believe someone instead of seeing for ourselves what's in their life, like who's in their life, and seeing some amount of time with them before we give them access to their children, right? To our own children. It's just crazy to me that people will do that. And it's sad. It's scary, by the way. Yeah. Yeah. Crystal says, John, me too, about not wanting to get into another relationship. Too many narcs and fake people. I don't feel like sifting through multiple crazies. Doesn't seem like a good time to me at all. I absolutely agree with you both, because here's the deal. Not that everybody out there is crazy, but just about everybody out there is broken. All right. And you want people to come into your life who figured out their brokenness, who've healed, done the work to heal. Hey, stop. I'm going to put my dog inside because this is annoying, you guys. Hey, get inside. In. Go. You can't stop, so get in. You're welcome to stay out. No, in. Go. Oh my goodness. So, yeah, people are broken, and meeting up with people while you're broken, they're broken, you're both bringing baggage into the relationship. You both haven't figured it out yet, haven't sorted through yet. It's not going to be good. It's going to be quite hard, and you might end up damaging each other even more. So even if it isn't a narcissistic relationship that you get into, it could very well be an unhealthy one. So Rissa says, why did the narc go back to his ex? Is he happier with her? Will they remain? Oh my gosh, Rissa. The reason narcissists go back with their ex is because the ex is weak. The ex misses them. The ex is used to them, right? Is used to the abuse. And the ex has not learned that they're a narcissist. The ex actually still thinks, this is the forever supply, by the way. I did a video that says, don't be the narc's loyal supply, which means there are some people out there, no matter how bad you are to them, they will keep taking you back, and again and again and again. And that, to the narcissist hates them, but the narcissist will go back to them because, for a pit stop. That's essentially it, either a pit stop or they're at the end of their charm and they're not able to catch new supply anymore. They'll go back to their ex that they know will continue to take them back no matter what. So that's why they go back to the ex. You are not missing out. You're the person who gets to move on and have a real life now, a good life now, while the ex takes back this horrible person. And let me tell you, that's the one where you think, from the outside, without knowing that the narcissist had cheated on their ex multiple times, you might think, oh my gosh, they were married for 50 years and they they lasted to the very end. How amazing is that? And it's not amazing. It just means that the ex was willing to take them back, was willing to continue with the abuse because the ex is so weak and broken down. And the narcissist had groomed them and broken them down so much that the ex doesn't know anything else but this abusive life and is too scared to step out on their own. And that's why I'm so proud of my aunt, who actually, and I'm not for divorce, you guys, I really am not, but I'm not for staying in an abusive relationship either. So she didn't just like bail at the first moment. She tried, and I don't suggest that people try and stay in an abusive relationship as long as she did either. I'm so proud of her for leaving, even though she had nothing. She had a very small income of her own. She didn't have a place that she can go into right away. She didn't have a nest egg. She didn't have all the security. And in fact, she didn't even really have her family. Some of her family lived, had moved into town. She started building a relationship with them again. They were getting back on their feet as well. Her family immigrated here, so they were not like well to do or anything either. They lived in a tiny little apartment. Her sister and her sister's husband. She didn't have this cushy padding to fall back on, but she got out and she did so well for herself. I'm so glad. And that's your story as well. That can be your story. Watergrove, I really like this comment. It says, I don't think it's a bad thing to wish the best for the new supplies and our exes, as long as they keep their orgies out of the way of the children's eyes. Heck, I even told them to have plenty of kids. Well, you know what? What's most freeing to me is when I do wish my the narcissists in my life well. I do. They did me a bad turn. Let me tell you. It's not like they left me without scars, okay? I've definitely gotten scars from them, but I wish them well. And when I do that, at first I cringe, by the way, when I do that. At first I'm like, no, I don't want to wish them well. I want to wish them karma. I want to wish them bad karma. I want to wish them the same stuff that they put me through. And it might feel good to do that for a moment, but it doesn't heal me. It doesn't make me feel great. But when I push through the cringy part of wishing them well, and I actually say, I hope it goes well for them. I hope they do change. I hope their eyes are open. I hope that they're happy. I mean, a part of me is like, there's no way they're happy. I know that they're not happy, but I could hope this for them. I hope that I wish them well. I feel so much freer. I feel so good. I feel great. I feel like a bond between me and the narcissist breaks off every time I say that. And that's what I wish for you guys, to break off this bond. And it's amazing that when you wish something good for somebody, the horrible, angry, resentment, jealousy, the insecurity breaks off. It's beautiful. It breaks off. So I don't know. That's my challenge to you today. And guess what? It won't kill you. It won't kill you. It won't even hurt you to wish them well. You may cringe going into it, but guess what? You're not going to get burned wishing them well. You're not going to get run over by wishing them well. You're not going to fall into a chasm. You're not going to fall into depression when you wish them well. You're not. In fact, you're going to be like, wow, how come the skies are brighter today? How come I feel lighter today? And it comes from that. It's amazing. I don't know what happens and why it happens. I cannot explain it. And I've heard this before. Forgiveness is not for them, it's for you. But truly, you do want to forgive. You do want to forgive them. And if they take it, great. If they want to take that forgiveness as a gift, great. Let them have it as a gift. But for some reason, in the spiritual realm, in the whatever realm you want to call it, psychological realm, something breaks off. The connection you had, the toxic connection that you had with the narcissist, and even with the new supply, it breaks off. So wish them well. I know part of you is probably like, no, I can't. And I was there too, you guys. But the more I know and the more I learn and the more I examine about the narcissists in my life, the things that have happened, I go back and I examine the experiences that I had with them, the more I know their life is miserable. It's horrible. It's no life that anybody would ever want to have, even though it may look really nice on the outside, you guys, even though it might look like they bought a yacht, they're doing so well. They're financially, just booming. They have friends galore and parties all the time. You can see all of that, but the reality is, whatever they are, wherever they are, it's miserable. Whatever they're doing, they can make it look good for a moment, but it's miserable. It just is, because you're with a damaged, mentally, psychologically crazed out person. So, you guys, there are a bunch of points I wanted to make about the new supply, by the way, and I'll make them right now. You know, when you think about the new supply and you're thinking they must be better than me, but know this, they're more needy, they're more codependent, they're more easily manipulated, they have worse boundaries than you do, and they have as much, if not more, baggage than you have. They just haven't shown all of that yet. And all of these ingredients come together to make an explosive. They come together to make a crazy, horrible explosion in the relationship. So you don't have anything to worry about. You don't have anything to compare to. You don't even need to compare to them. Even if they're younger, they look better than you do, they have more money than you do, they have a better job than you have, they're more educated than you are. It doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter, because the narcissist is going to destroy all of that. Is going to take from them. And if life hands them a raw deal, even if it's not the narcissist, if life takes away their income, for instance, the narcissist is going to bail. The narcissist is not going to be someone who's going to hang through all of that with them, right? So know that you have nothing to worry about, nothing to compare to. But if you are looking at your ex narc and you're still wanting them back, even though you're in a good relationship, do this. Be real with yourself. Write down all the things the narcissist has done to you, all the negative, abusive, horrible stuff, and look at that every time you start missing the narc, okay? That will help you focus on the good that you have right now. You don't want to let go of a good person that's in your life because you're missing this fantasy, fake dream world that you believed was true, and your heart is still connected to them, okay? Especially if your ex has already moved on with the new supply and is long gone, has married and has kids with them, you're lying to yourself. And in your state of lying to yourself, you're letting a good person possibly slip through your hands. So do this. Write down all the bad things. But here's another thing. There probably were a few good things that the narcissist brought into your life that you realized that you want. Maybe they brought passion into your life. Maybe they brought adventure into your life. Maybe they brought a lot of humor into your life, right? Or music, or whatever it might be. Well, guess what? You can still have that. Bring that. Not the narcissist, like leave the narcissist out of it, but bring those good things into your life and share them with the good person now that you found them that's in your life. And if you haven't moved on, or you haven't, you don't need a person, by the way, a good person or any person to move on with. If you're by yourself and you don't want to have another person in your life, you can still have all those good things in your life with friends, okay? With friends and with your family and with those who you care about, with your kids. You can have those things. So think about that. Bring the good into your life now that you did have, but leave the narcissist out of it. Okay. I'm sorry, you guys. I'm kind of whispering because I've got neighbors and I don't want them hearing everything I'm saying. Yeah. And then here's the deal. And you guys have mentioned this already, that the new supply is willing to put up with the abuse. The new supply is willing to continue to overlook the insults, the put downs, the cheating on, the times the narc stood them up, didn't show, the no-shows, right? The times the narcissist blamed them for stuff, the eggshells they have to walk on. The new supply is willing to do that. And so does that make the new supply better than you? Absolutely not. It just makes them weaker than you. And that's why they do that. Oh, Crystal Bourgeois, good to see you. Oh my gosh, says my mom is a narc too. I know, right? And there are ways to deal with that. You just have to completely limit your time. If you have family that are narcissists, then you just limit your time with them. You go you know, you can't go no contact because of family reunions or festivals or dinners or whatever it is that you get together with other family, and your narc relative is there too, and the rest of the family expects you, and that's the other thing, the pressure, right, from the rest of your family to be nice, to be good or whatever, or put up with this stuff. You don't have to put up with the narcissistic toxic stuff. You can limit that. You just interact with them and stay neutral, or even, you know, they call it gray rock. Do that. Be a gray rock. Don't react to the narcissist. Hey, you guys. So thank you. I don't know who did this, but ah, somebody donated money. So thank you so much for doing that. Child of God 073. Thank you. Says, yes, let them go. Wish them well. Make a release prayer. You have everything inside of us already. Everything. Yes. Thank you so much for saying that. Yeah, thank you for saying that, child of God 073. I'm sorry, I can't see because of the glare on my computer screen. I really hope that you guys get to that point, because here's the deal. I know that the first time I said that in one of my videos, I got comments like, what the heck, are you crazy? Why would I wish them well? I hate them. And I totally understand that. And I laugh because I'm like, I've been there. I know. I laugh at myself because I'm like, yeah, I remember I felt the exact same way you do. And I was stuck. I got stuck there for a moment. And that's okay. You know, it's okay to deal with that. If that's your feeling, deal with it. You know, be aware of how you're feeling. Don't stuff how you're feeling. Ooh, gross. Get away, little fly. I don't want to see you. Go, go, go. That's the thing with summers. Bugs start coming out. But yeah, you know, wish them well. And it's amazing and miraculous what happens. Let me see, you guys. Yeah. Water Crows says, your family is crazy, escape like mine. I know, total crazy town. So this is why I do the channel, because I was raised in freaking crazy town, you guys. I was raised in it. And I came out of it so damaged, so, I don't know. I mean, I looked at everybody and I thought everybody must have it all together way better than I did. I just thought the worst of myself. I had no, I don't want to say no self-esteem. I had very little self-esteem. Like I had a tiny little bit of worth, but hardly, just hanging on by a thread type of self-esteem is what I had. And even though people would give me compliments, you know, about my looks, you know, I mean, I think that was like the one thing I had a little bit of self-esteem about, because I got a lot of compliments about my looks, but I didn't believe it. You know, I was like, yeah, they're just saying that because they're trying to be nice. And I wanted to believe it. So there were occasions, you know, moments when I believed it, like, okay, I'm not bad looking. I'm okay looking, you know. And by the way, I kind of worked to my benefit not to get too tied up into that. And I'm glad I didn't, because I'm not a vain person now. And I don't want to be a vain person. And I wasn't a vain person back then. Vanity, oh, that's another thing that's hard to break, I think. But yeah, you know, coming out of Crazy Town, you feel you have no self-esteem, almost no self-esteem. So I understand you guys. I understand those of you, and all of you really, people who've gone through marriages with a narcissist. You also come out of it very broken, because even if it was just a 2-year marriage or a 20-year marriage, you're going to come out of this time feeling completely broken, feeling like you have no self-worth, because the narcissist, it was like their job. They felt it was their obligation to demolish you, and their requirement or their responsibility. I don't know why it is they feel that way, but they think like they need to be real with you and tell you everything that's wrong with you. Like, the heck with that. What the heck is wrong with them, you know? And they're not real with you. They're the farthest thing from real with you, by the way, because they will never give you a compliment. They will never tell you what you're doing is right. They will never tell you what's good about you, because they are so insecure. So anyway, you guys, I'm sorry, I kind of got off track there, but Yeah. So glad you guys are on today. Good to see you. If I'm missing your comment, I'm really sorry. Oh, hold on. Maybe this is why. Ah, okay. So YouTube automatically does this thing where it's called, it only shows me some of the comments, but not all of the comments. So if I missed your comment, I'm so sorry. Tina says, the ex-narc and New Supply just started living together, and I see him devaluing her now. She left her husband and kids for him, so she may stick it out as long as possible. Isn't that scary? Isn't that so sad? Same thing happened with ours, with my uh, example that I gave you earlier of the supply that left his wife left him. Because by the way, I kind of think that the supply is also a narcissist, the new supply. And you want to have sympathy for them, but at the same time, you kind of feel like karma, baby. That's karma. You just put it in God's hands and you go, you know what? I do wish you well. I hope your eyes are open. I hope you're going to learn from this. I hope you get your life back on track. But thank God that you're not putting your hooks into somebody else. The best situation I think is when narcissists get together with narcissists, because then none of the rest of us don't have to deal with it. But it's so sad when the new supply does leave their family and give up so much, right? They sacrifice so much for the narcissist. Yeah. Yeah. Crystal says, once you wake up to toxic, you realize how many people around you are. Oh my gosh, you guys. So, one of the books I read early on was called, let me see. It's from Dr. Phil, actually. What is it called? Oh, good Lord. Why can't I think of it? It's been a couple of years since I had read it. If I think of it, I'll let you know. But if you go to my website and you go into shop now or shop here or something like that, that tab for shop, you'll see all the books that I recommend, books that I had read at the beginning of my journey. And maybe they'll help you too at the beginning of your journey. And some of these books are not about narcissism. I think one or two of them uh, aren't about narcissism, because they were just books that inspired me or motivated me to build my life and improve myself. So I wanted to share that with you too. That books that gave me hope, and not just education, because you need both. You need education, but you also need hope when you're coming out of this abuse. But Dr. Phil wrote a book. Oh, good Lord, what was it called? He gives like 9 examples of toxic people or something like that. Um, I think it's called Unsafe People. I don't know. I'll put it in the comments here at the end of the video. But he talks about these characteristics of people that you should alert you. They're red flags that should alert you to somebody who is toxic. And he doesn't use the term narcissist throughout this book, but essentially he is describing narcissists. And I think he does mention narcissism in the book here and there when he talks about these traits. But it was a good one. I really liked it. Another one that really opened my eyes as well to the danger of narcissistic abuse or narcissism was oh, there I go again. There's a psychologist, clinical psychologist, who wrote a book, and it's not Psychopath Free. It is, oh gosh, Psychopath Free is also another good one. That one, it was written by a guy who went through a relationship with a narcissist. Oh, why can't I think of it? It's sort of like Fractured or something like that. But oh, you guys, I should have looked up these books. But these were really good books that helped me understand what's going on in the mind of a narcissist and how deranged it is. If you go to the shop menu in the in my on my website, and actually I'll give you a link to it in the description after I upload this video. So the new supply, Watergrow says, in my case, does deserve her abuse though. Sly only gets you so far, trying to one up me at a women's group. Now look Look, LOL, crying on the inside. Yeah, I don't want to revel in anybody's misery, but part of me feels like, karma, finally it hits. And you think, it has nothing to do with you, whether you wish them well or not. They create their own karma. Um, and part of you, I hope that you get to the point where you let it go, though. You don't really wish them terrible, right? You don't hold on to that misery. You don't want to wish them pain. But part of it is, they created it themselves, right? It's sad. It is. It's really sad. But part of it too, you have to realize if they're not a narcissist themselves, um, I do feel really bad for them because they just got caught up. They got caught up in the fantasy world. They got caught up in the lies and the illusion that the narcissist portrayed for them. Yeah. So, you guys, I did write a few things that I wanted to share with you, and let me make sure that I did. Oh, something I really want to share with you, by the way, before we end our session here. We're coming up on an hour and a half, and that's about as long as I want to have this go. So I'll let you guys finish up some of your conversations. But the thing I really want to share with you is why the new supply is not better than you, and they're not better off than you, is because they're starting their journey into a road of being broken, on the road of being broken, while you are getting past that. You've gotten off the road of being injured and broken to healing now. You're on now this road where you can help yourself. You don't have to, and another thing that's really awesome for you is that you don't have to live with a narcissist. You don't have to interact with this narcissist every day, first thing when you wake up and last thing before you fall asleep. You don't have to deal with their insults. You don't have to deal with them tearing you down the moment you build something up, and they'll be there to tear you down. You don't have to deal with that. You have this empty space, right? It may feel empty and scary at first, but it's actually a very safe place. It's empty and ready for you to put good things into that space. So don't pull bad things and negativity and anger and resentment and jealousy and hatred into this space with you. It's empty. It's like a blank canvas, right? So whatever stroke you want of paint you want to put on that canvas, it's up to you. Whatever you want to put inside of that empty room, whatever piece of furniture you want to put in there, whatever mental baggage, right? Either mental baggage or mental creativity. It's up to you. Like, do you want to put your nasty old smelly suitcase that your dog had peed on, in there? No, you want to toss that. The heck with that. Get rid of that. You want to put in instead something that's beautiful and refreshing and makes you smile when you see it. So in your new life, start putting good things into it. Start inviting good people. Go out and have a coffee. I guess you can't right now, but you can have virtual coffees, right? Actually, many of us are, the stay-at-home quarantine stuff is being lifted, so you can meet with one or two people at a time. Do that. Reach out to people. And if they say no, they're busy or whatever, reach out to another person. Don't be discouraged. It's okay. It's no big deal if somebody says they can't make it. And I know in this vulnerable state, you might be more sensitive to rejection, and you feel like when someone turns down a date with you or a coffee date with you, that's rejection. Don't look at it that way. It's up to you. The narcissist is no longer there to talk you down, okay? Is no longer there to push you down. So you get to start climbing up. That is why it is so much better to be you than the new supply, because the new supply is on this road that they're walking into multiple traps. They're walking into ambushes. They're walking into gunfights, right? They're walking into bombings from the narcissist. Well, you don't have to do that anymore. You don't have to walk through that life anymore. So you guys, that I hope will help you get on your way. I'm trying to think if I should share another story with you. Um, yeah. Another thing to consider is, with my uncle, with his new wife, not so new anymore. She's been around for 10 years now or 7 years. I don't know. I haven't really been keeping track. His second wife has to endure his constant berating, his constant need for admiration. And she has to be strong enough to constantly console him when he feels bad about himself, right? Because they do. Narcissists have very low self esteem. So you have to constantly be building them up while they're berating you. So this is what his new wife has to deal with, while his ex-wife gets to have a husband who treats her well, who buys her flowers, who doesn't say negative things to her because he's not that kind of guy. He's a positive person. Um, and also, she gets to be with her children and her grandchildren who adore her. So her life is full of sunshine, while the new wife, the new supply, right, to my uncle, is living this nightmare every day. And I know it's a nightmare because, by the way, this is the uncle that's living off of my mom, the other narcissist. He lives in the basement of her house in this dank, dark, musty, I'm pretty sure, it's so horrible, um, basement. That's where he keeps his new wife, even though he's the one who had the income. He's the one who had the retirement. He's the one who um, had all their savings, right? Sold their house and pocketed that money. He's living in my mom's basement with his new supply, with his new wife of 7 years, right? So not so new, but that's where she has to live. And she has to live by his schedule. When he wants to get up, she has to get up. When he wants to go to bed, she has to go to bed. What he wants to eat, she has to eat. I heard that he threw a fit once because somebody threw away moldy bread. Moldy bread. They threw away moldy bread, and he threw a fit because he thought that the bread wasn't too moldy and that they could salvage it. That's what this new wife has to live with. And he got violent over it. He started kicking people who were in the room. It was my other aunts that were in the room that he was trying to kick. I was like, what the heck? He's a total jerk. This is what the new wife has to deal with. She's probably eating moldy bread, sleeping in the basement of my mom, her what is it, sister-in-law's house, where it's dark. She has to go to sleep by 7 p.m. because that's when he wants to go to sleep. So she's not getting these romantic dinners or anything like that. You guys, if you think that the new supply has it sweet, has this dream world, you are so far off. It's a nightmare. It's a total nightmare. So you guys, just be glad that you're not the new supply. You're not there anymore. You're not living that life. You're not, it's a life sentence, right? I call it prison. I call it a life sentence in prison if you stay married to a narcissist. It is not the miracle, beautiful, been together, for 50 years, met, got to the golden anniversary or whatever with a narcissist. It's not golden. It's trash. It's horrible. But you guys, I don't want to leave you on such a negative note. Many blessings to you. Let me see about some of the comments here, if I can catch up with some. Oh yeah, Waterproof, thank you for saying this. I like this. Says he doesn't need to match my goals, but match my intellect. Challenge me. I know how to read red flags now, thanks to the narc. He taught me well. That's great. Aw. Oh, you know what? I'm gonna look this up real quick. Hello. Oh shoot, is my computer working? I'm gonna tell you right now the books. I'm gonna go to my website. And I'm going to tell you the books I was mentioning earlier. Where are you? My computer's a little slow. Oh, here it is. My website is escapefromcrazytown.com. Okay, here it is. The second tab is shop. So I'm going to go into that. And anytime. Oh, here it is. Okay. Pull it down so I can see it. I recommend a bunch of the Boundaries books. They're awesome because they help you build healthy boundaries and understand what a boundary is. At first, I thought I knew what a boundary was. For about 15 years, when I first heard about these books, I was like, oh, I know what a boundary is. I know, it's just setting, limits and rules and etc. But what I learned is boundaries are more than that, because boundaries without consequences is just nagging or just nagging. So that's not, it's not a boundary. So the boundaries books helps you understand what a consequence is, what's an appropriate consequence to certain boundaries. Yeah, and it also helps you identify when someone's crossing your boundaries. All right, you guys, the book that I wanted to share with you, it's written by, oh yeah, George Simon. I really like him. He's a PhD psychologist. Wrote a book called Character Disturbance. I really, really liked that. He helps you to understand what is going on in the mind of a narcissist. Another one that I really, really enjoyed, or I don't know if I enjoyed, but I really learned a lot from. See who it's written by here. I don't know why I can't see who it's written by. It's called Without Conscience. That, it was huge for me. It was written by the psychologist who'd been he did a lot of his studies in a prison with prison inmates and giving them therapy. His name is Robert D. Hare, PhD. Wrote Without Conscience, and I'll put that in my description here. It's really amazing. It's called The Disturbing World of the Psychopaths Among Us. So it's not even about people who are, excuse me, you guys, let me get some water. It's not just about people who are in prison, but he says that those that he analyzed, I guess, in prison. He gave therapy sessions in prisons and things like that. And he also did a lot of research with prison inmates. And I forget what number he came up with, but he said something like, 80% of the people there are narcissists, while out here in the real world, I guess, or not real world, outside of prison, there's maybe 10% of them are narcissists, right? So dealing with such a high population, high concentration of narcissists in the prison really opened his eyes to their manipulation, because they're very, very similar in the way they manipulate. So he goes into all of that in his book called Without Conscience. And that was one of the best books I'd read. Really like that one. Let me see if I can find that Dr. Phil one that I had mentioned before. Sorry, I have to back out of this. And I'm just gonna let you guys wrap up your conversation and do this. Oh yes, this is what it's called. Life Code, CODE, Life Code, the new rules for winning in the real world. Oh, I really like that. He talks, the first half of his book talks about toxic people and how to identify them and what the red flags are, things that they may do in order to gain your trust. Anyway, so those were really good things. And then the second half of his book was about, now what about you? How can you become a better person? What can you do to improve your own character, right? And not become like these people. How do you strengthen and live a really good life? So that's why I recommend those three books, actually, right? Or actually four. Another one was Psychopath Free. And that was written by, let me see, I can find his name. He was not a psychologist or anything, but it's just somebody who had experience. I don't know why it's not. Oh, there it is. Who has had experience in a narcissistic relationship. And oh my gosh, I remember reading his book and I was like, oh my gosh, yes, all these characteristics, all these things that his ex-narcissist was doing was the exact same stuff that the ex-narcissist I knew was doing. So it made me feel like I'm not crazy. His name is Jackson McKenzie. So Psychopath Free, that was a good one. So if you want to see all these books, just go to my website, escapefromcrazytown.com. Go to the shop menu and look into the books that I recommend. they really have helped me, built me, gave me affirmation, and taught me a lot. Well, you guys, many blessings to you. Thank you so much for coming on. And thank you for your encouragement. Thank you for encouraging each other. Thank you for being such a great community. No judgment here, you guys, right? We're not here to pull each other down, but build each other up. Blessings to you and have a great week. I will see you next week.